Welcome to the stream, everybody. Welcome. My name is Jose. I am a Golden in Kendo, and today we're going to be talking about Kendo, watching some Kendo videos. The plan specifically for today is that I have a compilation of ippons that I want to go over them with you. And mostly what I did is I found videos that are for ippons on kote, tsuki, do, and men. So we're gonna talk about them, try to figure out what can we do to have higher chances of scoring techniques ourselves. So hopefully you find this useful. If you have any questions, if you have any comments, please feel free to leave them in the comments here so we can chat about them, talk about them, and learn together, improve together. So how's everybody doing? I hope you guys had a good Kendo week. This week was a little bit slow for me when it comes to practices, but still I have managed to get some good practices. And today I was very tired in practice, but nonetheless, I tried my best, and I feel that a lot of the goals that I've been putting for myself when it comes to learning what I want to integrate in my Kendo, I think I'm starting to, it's not that I don't understand them, but I'm starting to feel that my body is getting it. I don't know if that makes sense, because I think a lot of us, we can see a lot of the things that are happening or maybe some of the mistakes that we're having, but we're not conscious of what is it that we need to do to fix this. So I feel that the more awareness that you create within your body, within what you're doing, the better performance you're going to have. So I feel that my body's starting to catching up on this. So hopefully I can get some good practice and I can get these things inside of my brain so I can pass it down to everybody here. So yeah, I'm excited for that. So welcome to the stream. Thank you very much for being here, and let's get some of this stuff going. Okay, hold on. This song, I don't know if this song should be here, because I feel that maybe at some point it's not gonna be good. Give me 1 second, guys. Sorry, I don't know what happened here. Yeah, I had some. I think I had some. Okay. Let me know how everything is going, like the volumes and all this stuff. Let me make sure, because I cannot see the chat now. Caitlin, welcome to the stream. Thank you for being here, and let me just make sure that everything is good. Okay, everything should be fine now with the volume and everything. Okay, so without further ado, let me bring you guys into the first video. The first video that I wanted to bring in today is for the Bana Men. This is a compilation, and the videos are going to be very short. So hopefully we can, take a little bit of time on breaking things down. And instead of getting a just men video, I chose to go for the Bana Men. And the reason for that is because I feel that it's a little bit more, it's a little bit more common. Oh, and by the way, all of these ippons are going to be, agarandom. Sorry if I'm butchering that, but thank you for letting me know the music is too loud. Thank you very much. I normally put that just because there's a lot of sound around here, so that way the microphone will not, even though the microphone will pick it up, it won't be bothering so much. But there's fire station close by, and it gets really annoying. Anyways, so all the ippons that I'm going to be sharing today are within Shiai context, so we can study how to break down the ippons, but also how to make more opportunities for all this stuff. If you have any questions, please let me know. What I was saying about the Bana Men, I chose the Bana Men compilation more than just regular men, because I feel that it's kind of more, I'm not gonna say realistic, because it's not the case, but it's a little bit more common to see that challenging of one technique and the other, right? So I did that for men and kote as well, and I also got just a general kote compilation. But Caitlin and Agarandom, is it still too loud? Because I thought I lowered it down. My bad. me see. Okay. You also gonna have to help me with the video too, because I don't know how loud it's going to be. So hopefully it will not be. Okay, good, awesome, perfect. Thank you very much. So again, without further ado, this is Devanamen Ippon compilation.
対戦出花面持ち味の元の西村秀久との対戦出花面持ち味の面が出ました
Discipline. Is this compilation from Kunitomo One All Japan? I have a couple of compilations from different ones. I think the Kote compilation is going to be Kunitomo. I don't think that this one is. This one is just the Banamen. So maybe just the fact that Kunitomo was there first, it's coincidence. So one of the biggest things that I always kind of emphasize for myself, and when people ask me about the Banamen, and I really like especially practicing the Banamen because it's a bridge, I think, for Ojiwaza, in the sense that you don't want to be waiting for the person to attack in order to do your attack. And this is very necessary to do when you're trying to do the Banamen, because if you wait for the person to go, then you will be late. So let's watch this Ippon real quick, and then we'll watch a little bit in slow motion. So what do I mean by you cannot wait for the person to come and you have to, anticipate? Even though that the person is going to attack first, you have to engage in your movement before that person actually goes for that technique. So if you watch a little bit in slow motion, if you watch, Kunitomo is putting pressure, coming in, closing the distance, and he's keeping the momentum. Even though he took a step, if you're gonna notice, he's keeping the momentum forward. Oh, sorry, not here, now. So, let me go back a little bit. I think this is the most important part when you're talking about having a successful, increases your chance of successful Devanamen. If you watch, Kunitomo is putting the pressure, but after he puts the pressure, he doesn't stop. He sees that his opponent is coming in, and then when he sees that the opponent committed into a technique is when he decides to go. So at this point, when he decides to launch, right about here is when he decides to launch the technique. He's already in motion. He's already moving into the technique, into that man. And the biggest mistake that I see people, and myself included, do when we're trying to practice or even executing the Banamen is that we wait. I see people that, they put the pressure, wait, and when the person starts moving, then they start again from zero. But if you notice here, he doesn't have to start from zero because he already has momentum going for him, right? So watch it, regular speed. Does that make sense? How that make sense? Let me just 1 second, guys. Okay. I hope that makes sense, guys. Yeah, sorry, I don't know what happened here. Great execution, though. Okay, this one, it's a little bit different. The white actually went for a technique, right? Ah, sorry. Very close. This one could be a little bit hard to kind of catch on. So, if you watch here, red, which is in the right now, is going to execute the Banamen. Let's see how he approaches it. So this one, it's kind of tricky, right? And that's another thing that I kind of wanted to discuss with this video. So sometimes the line between being the Bana men or just, let's just regard regular men attack, sometimes that line is a little bit blurred, right? When it comes to what we see from the outside. So if you really, I think, if you really want to label a technique, you don't only have to take in consideration what we see from the outside, but you also kind of have to take in consideration what the people are feeling or they're seeing in front of them, right? So this one, even though that you know, the red came in with a technique, I don't think it's the same pressure as the one before, right? I feel that in this instance, in this case, red was ready when white made the mistake. So okay, this is a very interesting topic. The way I approach my Jigeko, for example, or Shiai or whatever, is that, especially for Shiai, I want to be ready when my opponent makes a mistake, but I also want to make my opponent make a mistake. And in both cases, obviously, I have to be ready. So in the one before, I felt that it was more that Kunitomo was the person that made the opponent make the mistake, right, by coming in. In here, I feel that red was ready when white made a mistake. And the mistake was that he kind of went in for a kote when he didn't really have an opening. And he kind of, you know, froze there after coming in so close. So red really didn't have to do much. You see, very, very close. And this is another mistake that I see normally. You know, it's a very common mistake, including myself. I'm not gonna say I see people do it. It's a very common mistake where people come in, they try to, oh, sorry. You see, they try to put pressure and they kind of stop or delay that pressure, not paying attention to their opponent, and they end up getting hit. So it's very important that as you approach your opponent, you're always paying attention what's happening there. Oh, sorry. What's going on here? Oh, sorry guys. The playback speed thing is being weird right now. Sorry guys, my keyboard's messing up right now. Okay, I think what happens, maybe this keyboard ran out of battery and I didn't charge it. My bad. So I'll use this other one. No problem here. Discipline. Looks like red is Katsumi from Kanagawa Police. I didn't read the kanji. I believe you though. I believe so, yeah. Most likely. Yeah, I cannot read the whole kanji, but I believe you. Okay, so let's go back in regular speed here. Very good, very good. Another thing that I kind of want to point out. Look at red's footwork, right? I don't know if you can see it very well with the line there. Oh, it's hard to see here. Maybe I can move this a little bit. Hold on, guys. Okay, yeah, maybe here you guys can see this a little bit better. But if you watch during the movement, look how as they're doing this pressure back and forth, look at the back foot. I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna hopefully remove the, you know, the playback bar or whatever. There you go. And if you watch the footwork, look how tight it is, right? Like every time that he moves the steps, every time he moves the back foot, is doing it in such a tight motion where he moves the foot but immediately sets it down so that way he can keep pushing forward and have that energy to go forward. And I think that's what made it possible for him to be able to immediately come in further, right? Because if you watch, very, 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 very sharp, right? Very sharp the way he came in. There's one more thing I kind of want to point out. I don't know if you guys can see the back foot from red, but if you watch, hold on, let's see, let me try to get it in the right frame. One second. So right here, you see when he, I don't know if you can see, hopefully that bar will disappear in a second. I guess it won't. But right here is the point where he's lifting the forward foot, and if you look at the back foot, that heel, right? That heel is not high. So many times, I get the question, like, why do we have to have our footwork the way in Kendo? Why do we have to have the heel low? And many people kind of prefer to have the more athletic movement, to have the heel a little bit higher, right? And if you watch, especially if you watch high level Kendoka, it does vary sometime, right? It's not that it's always low, but the biggest thing is that when it's low like this, you can actually use your whole leg, your whole back leg to push forward. You can also do it with the heel high, right? But the difference is that the weight, normally when you start raising the heel, it goes into the forward leg. And what this does is that it delays you so much to do so many things, because if you want to move that leg, then you have to shift your weight in order to start moving that leg. And that, obviously that takes time. So if you watch here, he has that forward intention. He looks like he's going to fall forward, but that back heel is down because he's supporting the weight on that back leg. And then as he goes forward, you see now that the leg, the forward foot is maybe not floating, but it's definitely not planted on the ground, right? And now here, as he's going to push forward, look what happens with the heel, right? With the back heel. He brings it down rather than up. And this, I feel that a lot of times is kind of like something that we tend to overlook. And if you watch, look how, even though that the crazy thing is that he didn't go far. And please, if you can watch yourself, watch the people in your dojo, watch your videos, and so on. But you're gonna notice that a lot of times people try to put power, but even if they put power, that back leg, especially when it's a short step, that back leg's still on the ground by the time they're going for the impact, right? But or sometimes doesn't even leave the floor, that back leg. But if you watch here, you see, even though he did such a short step, he's leaving the floor, and that has to do a lot with how much power he's putting. He's exploding from the ground rather than just letting the weight drop. So he's really putting power from that leg. That's what I've been trying to say here. So I really like the posture that White had after the moment of impact. If you watch, like he was able to explode forward, be straight, and immediately kind of readjust his body. Luis, welcome to the stream. Thank you for passing by. Did he do that because he knew the Mai was coming close? Luis, you mean in the one before? In the Ippon before? You know what? I'm going to say that maybe he did it because of the Mai, but I've been watching, and if you watch my streams or watch a lot of my videos, you probably notice that I pay a lot of attention to people's footwork, because first is one of the things that I've been wanting to develop more and more for myself, and I do feel is the key of strong Kendo. So I've been watching specifically for this, and this is something that I noticed among 90% of the senseis that I've been seeing here, right? And is that as they're moving forward, you would normally like the more athletic the college or the high school kids, sometimes the foot looks like it's rolling over, then there's like a kick, and then they lunge. But from the senseis, it's like the foot, it's already, it's like, imagine like there's a rubber band, right? So for the students, it looks like they're stretching the rubber band before they shoot the rubber band. And for a lot of the senseis, they're keeping the foot in such a position that when they start pushing forward, that heel doesn't move up until the foot is about to leave the ground. So I don't think that he did this specifically for the Mai, but by having it this way, it also gives more control onto the, and actually that's a good point, that maybe I didn't try to process this way, that it allows you to control the distance, because it allows you to control which angle you're going to. I wish I had more space here, guys, and I had another camera to show you maybe for my footwork right now what I'm trying to say. But if you have, actually I did this before with a piece of paper, so let me, give me a second, guys. Okay, I don't know what this paper is, so hopefully I can illustrate this like I did. I remember when I was in Miami, I did this with a piece of paper, so maybe it will. Okay, so imagine that this is a leg. Let's see what information is here. I don't know what this is. Okay, so imagine that this is a leg, right? And like normally you will see that with the high heel, maybe I should go in here. So you will see with the high heel, okay, the back leg shouldn't be straight like this, right? It should have like a little bit of a bend on the knee, and then the heel, okay, the heel, if it's too high, then you see this is what ends up happening, right? That the leg is kind of like in this position. So when you push with the leg like this, you end up pushing on this angle, which it might create a good forward intention, right? But again, you kind of lose a lot of control on different things. But when you have your heel down, your leg is kind of forced to be a little bit straighter this way. You're not here and bent, you're more like this. And then when you push from here, you can adjust the angle in which you shoot, and then use the leg to kind of like spring up. This is what I kind of been watching from senseis lately, and I've been paying attention to a lot of that. And even the funny thing is that even when they lift the foot, they don't do this. The foot doesn't do this. It goes from there. It looks like they're in a platform, and they just, it's like, you know, like a rocket, just like goes off, rather than do this from the foot. The knee might bend and stretch, right? But the heel, the foot, it's such a good position that it looks like it's in a strong foundation, and then it shoots up. Yeah, I've been trying to record more of this stuff, but a lot of people in the dojos, they kind of, you know, like they don't feel good for me to bring a camera and stuff like this, so it's been kind of a challenge to do a lot of this stuff. So I'm gonna catch up with these comments. Celix, welcome to the stream, guys. If you haven't, please hit the like button. It really helps the channel go out there and more people to join in. And Celix, welcome to the stream. You say, hi, you have a question. You found yourself not being able to execute men Kaeshi Do correctly. I'm not sure if you need to be faster or if you're reacting too slowly, but how can you get a better Kaeshi? How can you get better at Kaeshi? As a matter of fact, I have a video in my channel about Debana men, and actually what I'm talking right now here, it relates specifically to that. I'll give you an answer in a second. But in that video, I talked about how, you know, Ojiwasa and Shikakewasa, they are deeply connected. So the key to this is to not be waiting. First is distance, okay? So if you come in too close for somebody that's too fast, they might catch you. And we're going to watch some Kaeshido in some of these videos. So if you stay, if you have more questions, I can answer that. But the main thing is distance. And then also to not be waiting. So you kind of have to have this feeling that you're coming in. So the feeling that I have is that I'm coming in, and I'm trying to say to my partner, I am coming for men, right? And the only way you're gonna challenge this is by challenging my men. If I feel that, for example, my opponent is not in that mood to kind of hit my man, I'll try to anticipate or try to guess, I guess that's the best word, where he's coming to, and then act accordingly. But ideally, I kind of want him to come in with that man. Sometimes they come in for kote, right? And if you're really in the mentality that I'm gonna do kaeshido regardless, you're gonna get hit in the kote. So it's not common, but it does happen if you have this mentality. So instead, if you kind of come in and have the mentality to tell the person, I'm coming for men, and if they start to move their men, you start executing the kaeshido. Then the other point is that if they don't come in, you can still do that, man. So, you can play with that. So, but I do have a video on that. So can you please check it out? Take a second to watch that, because I think in there I explain a little bit more, because there can also be a problem with the way that you're doing the motion. A common mistake is that people do the kaeshi in 2 moves, where they go 1 and 2. And you could do that, you could block and go, but ideally you want to make it 1 motion. So the deflection is more like your upper swing rather than a block, right? That's the goal. That's the ideal. Discipline. The older sensei has good control of their heel and calf muscle. It's a good example of stretch shortening cycle. I agree, but I don't notice this only on the older senseis. Yeah, I see it. I see it with a lot of the people that are like, that I can tell that they understand communication. I could talk about this for days. Guys, welcome to the stream. Thank you for passing by. A senpai tore his Achilles tendon partially in the right foot. Have you seen anything like this? Yeah, actually, I was in a practice with somebody. I hope they didn't tear the tendon, but that's what it looked like. And for what I understand, because many people that I know, they have told me about this too, it kind of sounds like a snap, but and it's a very bad injury. And the main thing I feel that I always try to tell people to avoid this is that don't focus on just using your calf. Don't focus on just landing on that heel. Because a lot of times when it happens, for what I can tell, I actually should maybe ask more about this. It never happened to me. And again, I need to ask more about this. Normally when it ends up happening is when people are coming really fast, they turn around and they stop themselves with that heel, with that calf, whatever. And they put all that weight there. And this is kind of like where, for what I understand, where it happens most often. But I could be wrong. Again, this is I'm kind of just replaying that thing when I saw that person kind of fall down because of that. But I'll ask somebody that actually knows more about this, so I'll get back to you on that. Celix, you don't have to call me sensei, please. Jose is fine. Okay, you have such a long name, so I'm gonna call you Krish Navy. Okay, Naveni, I'm sorry if I'm butchering your name. You would like to have advice on what you can do for your Shiai. I started with Bogu a month ago and you have your first official tournament. So you would like to have any tips for your first Shiai. Oh, okay. You know what? Let's watch a couple of Vpons and let me think about what will be, if anybody has good tips for the first Shiai, but let me think about maybe the top 3 things to kind of have. Actually, it'll be kind of cool if you guys could share your top 3 tips for first Shiai. That will be okay. Let me think about that for a second, and I don't want to just blurt things out. Okay, give me 1 second. Okay, let's watch a little bit more of the Vpons. So in this one, in this man right here, and this is something that I kind of wanted to do. Do you feel that here White made the opening, or he took advantage of a mistake? Okay, so let's slow it down. So again, this is opinion, guys. This is not necessarily exactly what happened. I'm just trying to break it down and understanding the body mechanics out of this, right? And if you watch here, White, he is holding his position. I feel that Red is kind of coming in a little bit too close, a little bit too recklessly. And then White is doing this thing where he's kind of moving a little bit back, but immediately anchors his back foot. And as Red is kind of trying to like adapt to that new distance, he goes in for that man. Now, I do have to say that for me, this is kind of like the perfect distance, the perfect reach for your strike. Many times when we're trying to do men, we aim so far deep, or we aim to where the person is rather to where the person is going to be at the moment that we decide to go for men. And if you do that, you kind of are wasting time by launching a little bit too far. You don't need to go that deep. You have to go exactly to where the person is going to be and try to reach the top of the man with the leather of your shinai, right? You don't need to come and hit all the way up here. That's something that I feel that happens very often, right? But again, it's not that you're not gonna get an ippon if you go a little bit deeper than this, but or even if you go considerably deeper than what you see here, you can still get an ippon. But the point here is that you're wasting time, right? You're wasting the space and the time that maybe if the other person is slightly faster than you, they could catch up against you, and then they will always be on top, right? So here, even if you're slightly slower than your opponent, you can still have a more advantage because they're going somewhere that is a different distance. Guys, who says Shia always makes you really nervous. Try to relax. You need to get closer than what your gut tells you when to jump forward. Do not point your shinai too high in kamae when you commit to a waza. That's actually, and you need to follow through with your waza. Okay, I understand. For me, what I'm going to say is that I know that people tend, for my experience on watching people, starting their shiai level, is that they tend to hit a little bit too deep. Again, talking about what we're talking here. So I would say that, if you just got your bogu 1 month ago, I would say that this is kind of hard. So I'm gonna go. I think the best part of your advice, guys, was don't stress about it, right? Like try to relax. Okay. Sorry, guys. Like today's light is like super low for some reason. I don't know why. Give me a second, guys. Sorry. Maybe I can do. Hopefully it doesn't look too bad here, but okay. I think it looks a little bit better. I'm going to say this about relaxing because I agree 100% with you guys. But I think this advice can go for everybody when it comes to shiai. When you're in shiai, you have to have the mentality that you're there to do something that you've been training for. So I think that there's a good point where you have to have tension, because remember, that anxiety, that fear, that those things can work for you or against you. So I think that one of the best things that Kendo has helped me understand is about this, about kind of making these feelings work for yourself rather than against you. I remember when I was Nidan, I think. I went from Miami, I went to a trip, probably about 14 hours away in car, and I went to a competition, and everything started going into my head that I drove here so fast. What if I lose on my first fight? All of these things started kind of like just building up. And maybe I was Sandan, I don't remember. But I I started kind of doubting a lot of myself, and I realized, okay, I'm here to do something. I've been training for this. Just go. And that feeling, that little bit of tension feeling, for me, it has helped me fight better, because it kind of puts me a little bit on a real situation. So, but on that sense, you cannot get overwhelmed by it. So the first thing, the top 3 advice, and I think this goes for everybody, it's understand your inner talk, or not understand, prepare your inner talk. So your brain is going to play tricks on you and going to tell you, you suck, you don't belong here, you should go back, why do you do this, and blah, blah, blah. All these things are going to start, some of these things, if not all of them, are going to start coming into your head. You need to shift these things into a positive note, right? So something that I actually read in some sports psychology book was that you want to kind of have a speech prepared and then understand that all these feelings are normal, especially when you're in the Shiai, in the actual Shiai. Maybe you start feeling your legs, your shoulders are getting tense, they're getting tight, or you feel that they're getting tired, and then your brain starts telling you, maybe this is not for you, maybe this is not what you should be doing, maybe you should just quit or whatever. And then you have to tell your brain, no, this is normal. I know this, right? I go through this in practice. Just keep going. So prepare your inner talk into the sense of have positive things for yourself to say, right? To be ready when all these things come out, when you start feeling that tension, so you can make it work for yourself. In the dojo, preparing up for the competition, imagine yourself in the competition and fight like you're in the competition. So when you are in the tournament, put yourself back in the dojo, right? So make it understand. Like I will go to the point to even imagining myself in the court, imagine myself, I'm in the final. If I knew where the court was or whatever, I'll try to just put myself as much as I could before going into each jigeiko. And then in the Shiai itself, I will put myself back in the dojo and just say, this is just like regular practice, right? So this helps for me. This helped a lot. Once I figured this out, like this helped a whole bunch. And so I said, prepare yourself for the inner talk. Prepare yourself for the Shiai by putting yourself in the Shiai in practice, and then in the Shiai, put yourself back into the dojo, and don't let go of that tension, and what I mean by this, on that tournament that I told you that I travel and I start feeling insecure at the beginning, I did very well, right? Very well. I go to the semifinal and I win by scoring. I score at Tsuki, right? And I think this was the first Tsuki I ever scored in a competition. So I was like thrilled. I couldn't believe it. Like I was like, oh my God, I got. And then I let go the tension or the focus that I had for my matches. It kind of just vanished, right? So I think I went into the match the last match, still thinking about the last match, and that completely threw me off. I did very well. It's not that like, I just came in and I lost. Like I did very well. I didn't win that fight, but I didn't do my best because my mind was still on my previous fight. I lost my concentration, my focus. So keep your focus. Specifically for first time competitors, if you're going there for the first time, make sure that you understand the rules, the commands, and how to come in and out of the court. And put your uniform correctly. Why? Because a lot of times when, like, if you're in a match, whatever, like you're about to come in and then you look at the other side of the court and the other guy knows exactly what he's doing. And then you come in and you're like, oh, should I step in? Should I step back? Oh, I have to step back now after I step in. Oh, what are the judges going to say? All these things is going to throw you off. And if the other person knows what they're doing and you don't, then he starts looking and starts making it even into your brain that that person is controlling the fight. So you want to avoid that. So I don't remember. I think it was Teramoto Sensei. He wrote in an article, or like in an interview in a magazine. He said that every time that he will go, because actually, if you notice in the tournaments here, uh, normally they have the place where they put their men on the back. They have to put it in front of each other, right? So a lot of times he will mention that he will try to put his men before his opponent, and then make him feel that, oh, he has to rush for him. And then going into the core, the same thing, taking that first step is like, now you're moving because of me, right? Make him feel like, maybe those are little mental tricks, but definitely something that can help. Christina, thank you very much for passing by, and thank you very much for being a member for the channel. It really helps. It really helps everything, all this production stuff. So thank you very much. Let me try to get back to some of those comments. Sorry, guys, I went into a rant here. By the way, talking about rants, I need to talk to Andy to see when we're gonna do another stream. Caitlin, you're saying you're able to grade for Shodan in November. Oh, okay, cool. Congratulations. You're not sure whether you want to, since there are so many Smurfs in Shodan. You'll get beat up in every tournament. You know what? I had this thought about that, I think, going into my Yondan, right? Where I wanted to go to one more competition before going into Yondan. But doesn't matter, if you lose. I think that, okay, you lose because you put yourself into a bigger pool, and maybe the first couple competitions they will suck, but definitely is going to help your kendo move that much faster. So if you're doing it for the medals, cool. I mean, for example, I know right now, actually this weekend, nationals is happening. The U.S. national is happening, and for example, there were some. I remember when I was on the team a while back, they had a couple of the kids that they didn't want them to test because they were part of the team and they needed to compete for nationals. So in this case, this thing is okay. But I think if you're trying to improve your kendo, you should put yourself through the ringer, and it's okay if you lose. Luis, you're saying that what I'm saying is crucial. Try to feel the connection between you and your practice partners as you practice. This is the thing to learn. The techniques are secondary. Totally. I'm gonna call you Krish. Sorry, and if I have a better name for me to call you, please send it to me. What do you recommend to do when the Shiai starts? Like which techniques or wasa? None. I don't recommend to just go with the mentality of you go in there for a technique. You go in there and you try to figure out who that person in front of you is. So at the beginning is very, very essential that you do two things. Number one, show that person that you're not scared of them, right? Whatever happens, you're not scared of them. And then second, or maybe first, I don't know, you can, maybe they're equally important, that you want to understand what is it that they are trying to do against you, right? Like you're trying to understand, is this a fast person? Do I need to come in for him to move, or he's already coming in even if I'm not moving? So maybe this is a little bit too complicated for your tournament, but in a simplified manner, try to come in and make them afraid for their men, right? Make them afraid that, oh, this guy could hit my man. And then this way you can start seeing maybe the man is the opportunity, but as they're afraid for the man, then the kote becomes an opportunity. But if you come in with the idea, oh, I need to come for men, maybe there's going to be an opening there that you're not going to be able to see because of this happening. Also, if you're just coming in with something in mind, maybe it will work, but again, it's a coin toss. You want to figure out what is it that is happening there. Gas, you're saying link to Shiai. I think I didn't. I'm guessing that you mean the link to the video that we're watching. Sorry, I didn't put it on the chat. My bad. Galaxy, I didn't say hello to you. Thank you very much for passing by. Currently watching from OSKF National. Oh, okay. So please tell us how everything is going. How things are happening. Thank you for letting us know that you're there. Discipline, you're saying what relaxes you for Shiai or Shinsa is that you're going to show off your talent and perform for the Shimpan and the crowd. Yeah, if it works for you, good stuff. Oh, link to the old USKF. Oh, my bad. Yeah, I don't know why they're not streaming it. I think that a lot of times people in US, they kind of just want to keep a lot of the stuff. Like a lot of dojos, they don't like to have people record. So maybe just not that many people wanted the tournament to be streamed. I don't know, but I was hoping that there was gonna be a stream for it. It sucks. And somebody said hello from Peru. So Cesar, thank you very much for passing by. Thank you. Did we practice when I was there? Sorry, I cannot read it. Calderon? I don't remember. I'm horrible with names, so please, I'm sorry that if I don't remember if we practice. But thank you very much for passing by. I hope everybody over there is doing great. Great people there. Guys, if anybody can go to Peru, practice there, and eat good food, it's an amazing trip. Okay. Sorry, guys. I guess I've been going to separate rants all over the place. So, I guess the comment that I couldn't finish before is that even though that here you see he kind of like, especially he's leaving the head behind a little bit. It's okay. It's not what you want. But what I really like about this technique, okay, first the fact that he hit the man from maximum reach, right? But look how he manages his body after. So he comes in straight forward to his opponent, right? And then instead of kind of just being flat-footed and just stopping, he just moves around his opponent to kind of keep the momentum of his body going. This is something that you want to make sure that you understand, because a lot of times when we attack, the first instinct is to just kind of like just get flat-footed, especially if you miss, or sometimes if you get the point, you feel like, oh, I don't need to go. You do need to go. Don't necessarily have to go through that person. You can do things like you just saw, but ideally you want to make sure that you don't put yourself in a flat-footed situation. Okay, so this is Shodai, Shodai's older brother, I believe. Yeah, so he's in Shudan, so I don't know if you guys know, but there used to be another player, Shodai too, that was Jodan. Really good Jodan, by the way. But I really like Shodai's Kamai. I really enjoy, look at the communication of, look what's happening here. A lot of times I wish they did a little bit longer videos before the Ippon, but look how White kind of puts a little bit of pressure, and Shodai wasn't really yet ready in Kamai, so he adjusts the distance. But immediately you see, like, he goes back, but you can see he's like a wall right now. Not only he's like a wall, but he's ready to come forward. As White adjusts himself, now you see there's a lot of motion from White. There's a lot of movement, and Shodai or Red has not moved. Like, he's just, you see this little motion forward. Look at Red real quick. You see he does this motion forward, and he looks like he's moving as a whole wall, right? Actually, this was what I was told to do today in practice, and I'll tell you guys in a second about this. But if you watch, you see he's kind of coming in. His opponent kind of came in. He didn't feel that he had a clean hit, and it makes sense if you watch this position, especially like a few seconds before. You see he is deep. I think understanding the feeling of the Shinai is very important, but if you watch, you know, like he's Shodai is here, right? He's deep into the Shinai. So once, I don't know if you guys agree with this is my experience, but I feel that here is very easy to move the Shinai, right? the closer you come to the hands, the harder it's going to be to move the shinai. So even though maybe Shodai for a fraction of a second he had the center, even if he tried to move in forward, it would have been really easy for White to suppress him or to knock him off, because he had a little bit more strength behind his shinai, right? Just by the fact of where he was. If they would have been both here, I think it would have been a little bit different, right? But in this case, White has a little bit more control in this scenario. So Shodai decides to not go at this point. Instead, you know, he kind of readjusts the distance and he tries it again, right? He's adjusting the distance again, but okay, guys. I'm going to share this against my better judgment, because one main reason for me to have this channel is because I want to promote good kendo, and I don't want people to kind of like depend on tricks or, you know, or see things as tricks. You want to put a lot of, you know, understand the deeper aspects of kendo, because it will definitely help your kendo. But I cannot deny that this works a lot, especially if you pick your places, if you pick your battles, if you know when to do this. This is very effective. Watch this. So, I don't know if you can tell what happened here, but Shodai, again, Shodai is playing a lot with the distance. In a way, he's kind of making White come in. He's kind of making him a little bit comfortable that he can come in. He's been retreating a lot throughout the exchange. And then, look what he does. So then look what he does. White starts coming in, and Shodai looks like he's going back. You cannot see his back foot right now because obviously he's hidden by the hakama, but his back foot is engaged. It's pushing forward. So he kind of took half a step back, right? If you can kind of see it. He took half a step back, re-engaged, and immediately started pushing forward. If you can see that, I don't know if you can see that his foot, it's starting to come off the ground. And as he does that, he comes in immediately with momentum towards the opponent. So essentially, when he decides to go forward for that man, he's not starting from zero, because his back leg is already creating that push forward. He's already creating that motion where he can then explode. And then the other thing that he does that works very well for this is that, again, he has a good reach where he doesn't overswing. This little half step forward, this little half step backwards works a lot, because it kind of gives the feeling that you're going back, and it gives the feeling to your opponent that you're going back, so they need to readjust now the distance for their attack. And in this moment of the readjustment, you can take this opportunity to come in and actually get your technique. So, something that makes him doubt a little bit. Something that can make a person doubt a little bit. Watch. So you see, immediately starts going forward. And when if you watch White, you see he was coming in. He puts his back foot down. So when he puts the back foot down, he's essentially kind of starting over to create that momentum. But Shodai, red on the other side, is already pushing forward to get that point. It could be very tricky it could be a trick if you use it often, and just because you think that, oh, this is going to work because, you know, it's common. But don't stop experimenting. Don't stop, you know, trying different things. Don't depend on one thing, because first of all, your opponent's gonna catch on to it, and then they're gonna adapt, and then this is not gonna work anymore, and then you really didn't learn anything. But again, it's definitely a good tool to have under your belt if you want to kind of find different ways to create opportunity, not only by going forward, but also kind of playing with the distance and the timing of when the person is adjusting to your distance. Let me catch up with some of these comments. How can I improve your fumikomi? Ooh, your right foot is lifting up too high and it has a longer travel time. Any tips on how I can fix it? Right now, your sensei is telling you to stop fumikomi and do suriashi. Funny enough, I'm actually doing quite the opposite when it comes to my fumikomi. So for me, how do I say this? Okay, I'm not doing the opposite of what your sensei is saying. I'm doing the opposite of what you're doing. Is that my foot is kind of sliding a little bit too close to the floor, but I was suggested to do a little bit higher fumikomi in order to kind of experiment with the different timing and also to create a little bit better power again on my fumikomi. But strong fumikomi is not about how hard you land on the floor, right? So your sensei telling you to do suriashi makes a lot of sense because actually, another thing that another sensei mentioned was that in the basic katas where you do men, kote, do, like the first sorry guys, I that name is so long, but the basic kihon kata, when you have to attack here, you have to do a long step. So this is, I think, a very good practice. This was what was recommended to practice this specifically, to do a big long step to then do the attack, because fumikomi is not about hitting the floor hard down. It's about bringing you forward. So ideally you want to understand that the foot has to pull you forward. Yesterday's practice, something that I was told is that Wednesday practice, sorry, that you want to kick the floor, right? So I have a video on fumikomi and fumikiri, but in the video fumikiri I explained that you want to kick the floor to lift yourself off the ground to go forward, but then you want to kick the floor again to bring you in. So what I'm saying is that instead of landing with your body, you want to bring the foot down, right? So essentially you should be at the same level, not down and up. Does that make sense? I wish I had more space here, guys. I wish I had a different setups to do a lot of this stuff, because I can talk about it, but not showing it kind of sucks. Discipline. You're saying that at this distance, Shodai could have hit Kote, but he chose to go a little bit more forward to hit the man. I mean, whichever reason he chose, I think a lot of things are happening in this moment. He could have hit Kote. I think it would have been a little bit hard to hit Kote on the motion, but definitely something that could have been done. Hey, listen, he could have done a lot of different things. He could have done Kaishido. No Kaishido, because I don't think he committed for the man. Yeah, no Kaishido, sorry. But I think Kote would have been a little bit harder, because you see, he decided to go on the technique at this distance, and yeah, he could have gone underneath, but he risks a lot with very little reward. You see, because he had to go underneath or really go around it, and would have been a little bit longer. So I don't think Kote would have been a good choice here by this distance. And he had full commitment from his opponent, right? And this is another thing, guys. If you notice, when you do this half step backwards, you end up attacking from a very close distance. So you have to keep in mind that, you don't need to go so deep again to attack when you do this, because your opponent's coming with momentum. I mean, like he took a step with the idea that you were gonna keep going backwards. So very nice. Itami said, yeah, you understand. You have a look at the videos I made. Thank you very much. If you have any questions, feel free to send me a message. By the way, I haven't done this today, guys, but if anybody would like to join the Discord server should be popping up in a clip in a second. And If anybody would like to support the channel, you can send a super thanks, or you can become a member, and become a member will give you a couple of extra perks. Please make sure that at least you take them a look and give me any suggestions, because it really does help the channel coming up with more stuff. So. Oh, I think this is Fukuoka. I think I've been here. I really like this. Let's watch for a second. Okay. So I'm going to talk a little bit about distance. A lot of times when people are trying to create a reaction from the opponent, I notice that a lot of times people fight or try to give pressure from this distance. This can be a little bit too close, a little bit too late. Even here it can be a little bit too close, a little bit too late to start giving pressure. You want to start creating that pressure as far as possible, so that way you have a lot of room to try to figure out what's going to happen and what can you do about it. If you start putting the pressure from here, first you run the risk that if you start putting pressure from here, the first risk that you run, the first problem that you may have is that you might get hit as you're trying to approach this distance, because your opponent might be ready and they can attack. The other thing is that at this point or even closer, it becomes sometimes a little bit of like a lock thing, or maybe overreaction thing where somebody makes a move, and then like it becomes just a mess. So ideally you want to start putting that pressure from as far as possible. And if you watch here from red, look what happens. Okay, we can see the back foot, what I was talking about earlier from here. If you watch, look how the back foot doesn't move until he's about to leave the ground, right? So he's really pushing with that leg. And now after he started that spring motion to go forward, that's when the foot kind of rolls into the technique, right? Into the motion. But if you watch, look how he's approaching his opponent. He's using the forward leg to kind of create that motion, that commitment from the opponent. And he comes in when there's that commitment for the technique. So let's watch it from here. Beautiful. So when you're trying to put pressure in the opponent, you want to start putting that pressure from a little bit further away. And as you approach your opponent, how do I say this? I think this is a good example of how to use your body to create a reaction from the opponent. Because here his red is keeping the back leg anchor, always pushing forward, and then he commits into a technique when he feels that his opponent is committing to coming forward. So if you watch, he's going to do the bannerman, but he's not going to be waiting for his opponent. He's pressuring the opponent into coming. He feels that he needs to come, and then at this point, he finished pushing with the back leg in order to go for that man. It's not that he's waiting for the opponent to come in and then making the decision to go forward. Does that make sense? Oh, sorry guys. Stop this for a second. Okay. I hope that makes sense, guys, because I think this is very important, and one of the things that I feel that makes the biggest difference when you're trying to do more engaged kendo, right? If you're there just waiting for your opponent to come in, you can have a tough time, because most likely you're gonna get hit. We were talking about Kaeshido, right? We didn't. I don't think we're gonna have time for the Kaeshido videos, but one thing that ends up happening a lot when people are trying to do ojiwaza or trying to get a reaction from the opponent is that they do this step, they plant themselves, and then they go. So what this does is that it causes a delay from the moment where you make the decision to go and the time where you actually should have gone. I think one of the best times to commit to a technique, it's when the opponent makes the decision that he's going to come in. Not necessarily when he starts making the technique, but when his brain said, I need to go. But if you start the motion at this point, it could be problematic. What you need to do is you need to find a way. Okay, guys, so if you're starting, I think if you're a lower level, please don't stress too much about this, because this could be very overwhelming, and it can really hurt, I think, your performance if you're misunderstood. So please ask a lot of questions to me or to your sensei, your senpais, and so on. But you want to learn to create that feeling that when you take one step, you didn't just stop, you didn't cut the step. So how to explain this? So if you take one step, even if you take the second step 5 minutes after, it shouldn't feel that you stop moving. It shouldn't feel that you just planted yourself. So it's not like you take one step at the line, at the bank, whatever, and then you're just waiting. Instead, it should be more like you're coming in, but you're constantly feeling that you're going to fall in. You're constantly feeling like you need to stop yourself because your body's already, always wanting to pressure. And you get this understanding the proper feeling of kamae, I think. So hope that makes sense. So what I'm gonna do, guys, is I'm gonna play one more video, but it's going to be short because this one's too loud. And this one, it's kunitomo, and this one is actually the banakote. So hopefully you guys enjoy this one. I'm going here, and this is gonna be the last one, guys, because I think it's gonna be a little bit late after talking all this time. Give me 1 second, guys. Make sure everything is good here. Okay. And guys, if you haven't, please take a second, hit that like button, help this channel grow. Share this channel with your friends. That'll help a lot. Okay. So we have kunitomo on the right. Let me put this. If you guys want to watch this video later on your own, feel free to do so. I'll put it on the chat. Okay, there we go. Okay. Look how quick it gets. So, I'm going to point out this. Let me try to go back. Okay. Look how high he swung his sword before he commits down into the kote. The reason why I say this is because I think a lot of times our practice focuses a lot into, let me make my men as compact as possible. Let me make my kote as compact as possible. And although it's good practice to have, you also have to understand how to use it in the proper situation. And when you go underneath for kote, actually there's a video from Nishimura that when you go underneath for kote, you actually need to put a little bit more of your body because your kote is going to be more compact. But when you go above, it tends to be a little bit easier to get good impact. So these are the type of things that you wanna study and keep in mind as you do this. Anyways, but let's watch it. Let's watch it from this angle real quick. So I don't know if you can tell this. I don't know if you guys do this as well, as much as I do. But if you watch here, actually one frame before, you can see it a little bit before, a bit better. So his weight, if you had to, it's hard because we have the hakama, right? But if you had to guess, I think it's kind of obvious that his weight is in the back leg, right? Because he's not necessarily tilting forward. He's very straightforward, and his forward leg is slightly ahead, right? Like slightly forward than normally should be. And he's kind of doing that whole thing where he's like sliding a little bit of his leg to kind of give pressure. And as he moves forward, let me go a little bit. You see, he moves forward and he keeps that same posture. He doesn't tilt in. And this is something that I was mentioning a little bit earlier, but I'm going to explain it because it was explained to me today in practice too. That normally, when you have somebody that's tall, they tend to kind of, because they know they have better reach, they tend to kind of want to come in with the upper body. But this kind of puts them in a very bad situation, right? So instead, what you should do is try to come in. And we talked about this in the stream that I did about seme, where kind of like you're pushing a door up a river, right? You want to come in straight rather than tilting, because if you're in the river, you're tilting, the water's gonna come in and it's gonna drop you. So ideally, you want to kind of try to come in with that position to be able to push in and also make your opponent afraid that you're coming, rather than coming in here where you actually lose a lot of your traction. So please be mindful of that. As he's coming in, you see, he makes the approach with that forward foot, and then he comes in with that kote. If you watch, the main thing too is that look at the right foot, right? The forward foot. He kind of almost looks like he's going to put it down, but then immediately comes in for that kote. This is great anticipation, guys. You see, he's not waiting for the opponent to come. He put the pressure, he saw that the opponent started a motion and took the opportunity.
そのちょっとした変化ですけども、
はい、これ手前の背中が国友ですけども、見事に相手の怒り花を鋭さ。いやー、松崎の方も小手ではダメだということで面に行こうという動きだったと思いますけどね。
そうですね。はい、
前田が来るところを捉える技術も当然あるんですね。
そうですね。
決めてきました。
返しどうなのか、その反応して打とうとしたところを打ちましたね。
そして次はもう仕掛けてくるというと。
If you want a tip for kote, guys, avoid hitting the kote down. How do I say this? So you want to have full extension with your hands if possible, right? But sometimes when the distance is not right, it's a little bit too close. You cannot necessarily have. Let me go back into the.
返しどうなのか。
Switch here. So let me go back a couple frames. So if you watch here that kote is not hitting down, right? He's trying to extend forward. Granted, because the distance is a little bit too close, he's hitting in an awkward angle when it comes to how high he's hitting. But you want to avoid hitting with your hands down. So many times I see people kind of pushing with the right hand and kind of push both hands down, where you should try to throw them forward. And yeah, hopefully we're gonna see a little bit more clear example.
決めてきました。
返しどうなのか、その反応して打とうとしたところを打ちましたね。
そして
But even you see here, even though that he is hitting at this distance, he's extending his arms forward, right? He's not hitting down.
返しどうなのか、その反応して打とうとしたところを打ちましたね。
そして次はもう仕掛けてくるというところを出花後手に詰め込んできたところを国友が出花後手。
He's so good at catching those.
後手に詰め込んできたところを国友が出花後手。
Watch this. So you see, like he's having his hands away from his body, not down, right? He's trying to send send his hands. Look at where the kamae is, and he pushes away from his body. Good extension. Look where he got it. Great extension in that kote.
非常に冷静
Very
に
clear. Degote can be very risky, and you have to make it very clear.
進めているような
ちょっと遅れ気味に目に来ましたね。
今度は国友、今度は画面の右です。相手が出てきたところ、やはり西村に焦りがあったのか、
そうですね。
小手に国友が捉えました。
So this is why it's
相手が
risky,
出てき
right?
たところ、
Because
やはり西村に焦り
I guess. Oh, okay. He hit into it, right? But because the speed of the person's coming, the position where he was in, and so on, it can make it very difficult, or it can make it very risky because he can miss it. So
があったのか、
keep in
そうです
mind.
ね。
They're going to use the technique, but it can be
国友
very
が捉え
risky.
ました。
まだ時間。
Same approach, right?
まだ時間。
See if you watch. So I think again, a great setup for any de Banawasa is for you to make the person make the first move. You're not the one that's going to attack with the technique, but how? Okay, let me backtrack this for a second because this could be confusing if I say it like this. For the Banawasa, you are catching your opponent's target, like you're catching. Okay, we're gonna watch Degote. So for Degote, he wants to hit the kote before the opponent hits the men. But the commitment comes in first from the person trying to do the men because Kunitomo was the first person to put pressure. So even though that for the Banawasa your opponent should be the first person throwing a technique, your opponent shouldn't be the first person to move. What I mean by that is that if you notice here, Kunitomo, that's on the right, he starts putting that pressure with his body. He starts moving forward. And when the person makes that commitment to do a men, that's when he throws that kote. Instead of waiting for the person to throw them in and then making the decision to go for the kote. So you have to learn how to anticipate the opponent and kind of try to know which way they're gonna come depending how you put in pressure, the distance, and so on. You get all of this only with experience, obviously, but it's definitely something that you want to practice within your regular practice, that you want to be the first person to put the pressure, the first person to move, and then anticipate when they're going to hit their technique. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense because I think this is one of the hardest things for us to kind of grasp into our practice, to be hitting the technique after they come in without waiting. So anyways.
にこう回すような面だったんですね。
はい、まあ、表を攻めて、そして裏と。
これ
表を攻めて、そして裏。
So this one is very compact. This one is very compact. Just watch it.
こう回すような面だったんですね。
はい、まあ、表を攻めて、そして裏と。
Man, it's crazy.
こう回すような面だったんですね。
はい、まあ、表を
If you watch, look again, he's coming in forward. When his opponent makes the decision that he's coming in, he's hitting that kote, right? Look again. You can't really see it because of the background and the frame rate of the camera, but you see there's very little upswing when it comes from Kunitomo's sword. But he's doing a very good job at using both hands to create power. Let me get a Shina for a second. Okay, guys. So let me try to come in here. So many times the mistake that I see people do when they try to create power is that they use the right hand, and I'm sorry I'm using this angle just because the camera where it's at and so on. But the first thing that people do is they want to do this and then go forward to hit with power. This doesn't work. Ideally, you want to first use your left hand to move the sword, right? But and then you want to use the left hand again against your right hand to also make the sword go down. So I made this, I shared this in a video before, that the way I see it, let me see, can you guys see? There you go. Put this here. The way I try to put how to use my hands here is that I'm using my right hand as a support. The left hand is moving the tip, and then the back of my right hand is a support to bring the sword down. Okay, so this is kind of like the basic part of it. But on top of that, you can also use, I don't want to say this again because I don't want people to create bad habits and try to do this again, okay? Please, I'm not saying to do this. You want to use your left hand and you want to use your right hand to guide the path, and also you do want to throw your hand where the target should be, right? But you use your left hand to create also a little bit of extra speed. So it's not just this or this, right? I'm using my backhand. I've been planning to make a video about this, but because I don't want to say the wrong thing, it's been frustrating. You want to use the right hand as a support, but you can also add a little bit of power with it, right? By putting the hand where it should be. You don't want to push against the target. You don't want to keep pressing through against the target, but you definitely can help the sword get there. And one thing that I like to do for my practice is that, to understand this, try to move the shinai all the possible way that you can think of, right? So if you want to do it, for example, only with the arm, no wrist, right? You can also do it with your wrist and your arm, right? But then also with left hand, right? But then also using the hand as support, which one way, the other way, but then also controlling the sword to go around and then using both hands. Try to make it fast and relax, right? So what you can do continuous as well. So all this you need to practice in order to get a good feel and a good power into it. But if you watch what Kunitomo's doing in here, right? His right hand at this point is extended because he tried to control the center. He tried to control the opponent's sword. The left hand is the one moving here, right? But then look what he does with the right arm. He throws it forward along with the motion of the sword. So both hands are moving slightly different, right? They're doing two different jobs. And this is the big part that we need to kind of put into our kendo. So I say this because this has been a big focus of mine, to make my attacks, sharper going forward. That I want to push my left hand forward to kind of bring the sword in, and then as I do that, lift the tip and strike. But you can also do it where, so hard to do it here. You can also do it where you actually are bringing the tip, kind of like you're gonna do big man, right? Like the beginning of big man, where you're using both hands. I'm not pulling, right? I'm coming in to kind of come in, and then as I'm going in, my right hand is kind of throwing into the technique. Sorry guys, I wasn't expecting talking about this at this point right now, so this was kind of like at the top of my head, but I just noticed this and I thought it was worth sharing.
で、そして裏と。これ。
See, so that's how he can create so much power out of such a little motion, right? Okay, so guys, it's a little bit late. Normally I like to keep the streams a little bit shorter, so I wanted to do some other ippons for Do and Tsuki as well. So maybe I'll try to go over those next week. If anybody has any questions, please let me know before I head out for the night. But I want to say thank you very much for everybody passing by. You guys are a big support and big motivation for me to keep starting these videos and trying to keep coming up with new things. If you have any suggestions, any ideas, or any requests, right now I'm practicing in Japan, so I want to start doing a lot more stuff with that. It's being a little bit hard because when you go there for practice, it's kind of hard to take off your man, gotta go record and do all this stuff. So I'm still trying to figure out how to set this up, but don't worry, I will set something up and hopefully I can bring you guys some good stuff your way. Suggestions are welcome. If you guys haven't, please hit the like button. If you would like to support the channel, feel free to send super thanks for becoming a member of the channel. Let me just put the link. But I also we also have the Discord server that you guys feel free to join if you want to send me a message, if you want to meet up, catch up with other Kendo people. Feel free to join. We have a great community there, very supportive. So the link now is in the chat. If you have any questions, you can pass by. A lot of discussion there. Normally, if there's any events or anything happening, it's posted there. So guys, again, thank you very much for being here. I really appreciate it. You guys have a good Kendo week, and let me know if I can help you with anything. Thank you very much for watching, guys.